Good morning, BNI. Jeremy Brown here with another education moment. Once again, focusing on weekly infomercials. In other videos, we've talked about the anatomy of a weekly infomercial, how to make yours flow better, and how to make it more memorable. And most of that hinges on being prepared and writing and practicing your weekly infomercial in advance. Well, today I want to talk about improvisation, because sometimes your planned presentation may not fit with the mood of the meeting that day, or maybe a common theme has emerged in the meeting and you want to incorporate that trend in your infomercial. Or maybe there's an unexpected visitor in the group and you want to tailor your infomercial to really grab that person's attention. This is where a little improv can go a long way. Now, I can already hear the introverts in the room doubting themselves, and I know BNI leadership is cringing at the thought of the meeting going off the rails. But hear me out. Yes, improv can be scary, and yes, it can be dangerous, but not if you've rehearsed it. Rehearsed improv may sound like a contradiction, but it's actually quite common. For example, many freestyle rappers, they write and practice dozens or even hundreds of rhymes, which they can then use to fill in gaps, to set up off-the-cuff lines, or to mix and match as needed. And because these rhymes are so thoroughly rehearsed, they can easily be modified in the moment by replacing one or two words to better fit the current topic. Stand-up comics operate in much the same way. They don't try to think up jokes on the spot, and they don't just recite a scripted set word for word either. A good comic will deliver their set in such a way that it feels like a natural, free-flowing conversation. They're able to accomplish this by having a vast catalog of pre-written and well-rehearsed jokes ready to go. Of course, they do map out a game plan of which jokes they intend to use and in generally what order, but they can adjust it on the fly based on audience reaction. Now, I'll give you another example. Football coaches, they always have a playbook full of planned plays which they teach to their players, who then practice them repeatedly. This allows the coach to call up a specific play to meet their current need, and it gives the players the ability to change that play at the line if needed. They can make a subtle change, like simply reversing the direction of the play, or they could switch to an entirely different play altogether. As long as that play comes from the playbook and it's been practiced, the players should be able to execute it effectively. That brings me back to the topic of weekly infomercials. Like those freestyle rappers, stand-up comics, and football coaches, you need a playbook. Your playbook should contain a handful of complete infomercials rehearsed to fill the allotted time, but it should also include multiple openers, fillers, and enders that can be sampled and mixed and matched. Let's say, for example, that several members referenced veterans in their infomercials leading up to my turn to speak. So I want to mention veterans too. It's pretty hard to write a whole new pitch on the spot, and it's even harder to make it fit in the required time limit. But how about this? I can reach into my playbook and pull out an opener that I know from practice takes about 10 seconds, and an ender that I know takes about 5 seconds. Now I only need to improvise about 15 seconds. And if I have a filler that I can easily modify to incorporate veterans, then I'm barely improvising at all. So as you write your weekly infomercials, actually write them down and save them. Take the time to analyze their parts and pay attention to how the audience tends to react to them. Pretty soon, you'll have a solid playbook that you can refer to when you're put on the spot or when the occasion calls for a little rehearsed improv. That's it for today, my friends. Until next time, you've been educated.